Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of On the Mic with Mike. I'm your host, Mike Larkin, and joining me today is adult star and content creator, an amazing one at that, the one, the only Miss Nikki J. How are you, Nikki?
Hello. Hi, everybody. Thank you for listening.
It is a pleasure to have you on the show. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Now, I got to say this first and foremost, for folks. If you have not checked out Nikki in the short period of time that we have seen her do this damn thing, you are in for a treat because, my goodness, ma'am, the collaborations that you've had that we're going to get into in today's forum, you've been killing it.
I've been trying. It's been keeping me busy, It's fun. I love
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. I look at it from a stance too like this. I think when you look at the adult entertainment industry and content creation as a whole, I think you can agree with me on this, and people will say what they will. I mean, from back in the days, from the words being used such as taboo, many words and vocabulary such as that, I think in today's day and age, we're more normalized with everything, and we really have that art form that it is. You know what I'm saying? Because it really, truly is an art form.
It really is. I love to express the, like passion in the moment, things that people feel or want to feel. I've always wanted to do that ever since I was very young. I only want to say the age.
No, well, first and foremost, you are a goddess no matter what age it is, ma'am.
Thank you.
First and foremost, you're very welcome. But I look at it like this. I'm actually going to add on to your point. I think what a lot of people could also take from that, folks, is you look at where we're at in our teenage years, where we go through puberty, we start exploring our sexual passions, our sexual horizons, if you will. I look at it like this, and I'm going to say this right now. I'll show my age here. I just turned 32 this year, going to be 33 next year. I look at it like this, from where I was when I first started watching adult programming and adult entertainment. When you're like 13 or 14, everything is just like, it's one spontaneous combustion, if you will. But as you get older, you get to really explore stuff and really express what you like. And it's very free and it's a very liberating feeling, right?
It really is. I love it. It's a rush, a high, if that makes any sense,
No, I concur with you. And I mean, I have to ask you this as well. As I mean, you look at the generations, especially of like adult entertainment and porn. We see many things from popular culture, from the internet babes of the year, where you look at women like Jenna Jameson and Pamela Anderson of years past. And you look at the 80s, you look at things that are really like a sexual nature. Look at like Risky Business, the infamous train scene with Tom Cruise. Like, it's one of those things that really goes out to the forefront in many ways, that we get to see sexual content, not just in movies and adult movies, but at the same time, too, I think you could concur with me with this. With the addition of OnlyFans and ManyVids, especially during the COVID pandemic era, it's great to see a lot of these things coming to the forefront for people, not only business wise, but a community in that.
I love it. I love that it's open to, let me just start first here, that it's open to everybody. It's all inclusive now. I mean, age, size, mindset. And I in the 80s and the 90s, it was just, what do you call it, geared toward one type. I'm not going to specify that type, but that not everybody wants to see the same thing. You don't want to keep eating a vanilla cake when there's chocolate, there's raspberry, there's all kinds of flavors, and each one caters to somebody different.
I like the ice cream analogy. You're now getting used to chocolate vanilla cake. My goodness. But no, I agree with you. It's like when you go to an ice cream parlor, folks, I mean, you could have vanilla, you can have chocolate, you could have pistachio, you can have so many different flavors. You could have mint chocolate chip, for God's sake. Like, there are so many things out there, and you really need to, I think the best way to describe it is what I like to call the D&V, Miss Nikki J. Diversify and variety really goes a long way in any product.
And that's it. That to me is what matters, because everybody has a desire, and when you have to fit into that cookie cutter look, shape, whatever, it's not going to cater to that person. Am I making any sense here?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I like that. I like that it's all inclusive,
First of all, you're making absolutely great sense there, number one. But also, number two, I concur with you. I think a lot of people, and I mean, I look at it from my stance. Like, when I do this platform, folks, I interview people of all facets of life. You have to look at it like this. It doesn't matter if you're trans, BBW, whatever type you are, from a stance of preferences and overall uniqueness. Not only does everybody have a story to tell, but when you're in said adult entertainment industry, and we talk about variety as being the spice of life, there's so many different categories for people to really get into. And I got to say, first and foremost, whether you're MILF, GILF, or however you want to identify it, man, we all got a lot of that real deal sex appeal, that RDSA, if you will, and that voluptuosity factor that comes with them. So you're just showing your foundation, but more onto the big screen, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I mean it's I had my doubts about being in this industry. You know, when I was younger, I'm thinking I ain't gonna make it. I ain't, nobody wants me. Nobody wants somebody short. I have a Latina body, you know, a mix, but I mean, but really, I just started, you know, going solo. Like I've done past scenes before, you know, anybody even knew who I was. And I'm thinking, you know, I'm just gonna bust this wide open. I'm gonna go ahead and just promote my own scenes. I'm gonna promote, you know, and it just seemed to work. Like I'm like, oh wow, this person's really interested. This one is. And then coming out of the woodwork, and I'm like, wow, okay. Nobody. I walked into it alone. Had no friends, no girlfriend, nothing. I did everything by myself, promotions, all that. I brought myself out there. Nobody would help. And then you know what? And it worked better that way. It did.
I think what I like about your style here, and this is what's making me smile about you, Miss Nikki J, it's the DIY mindset, ladies and gentlemen. It's the do-it-yourself mentality of betting on yourself, knowing your worth, but also at the same time, it's hard working from a stance too, as well as when people see an adult film. I mean, I equate it to this. Look at Pop Culture, 2008. I'll take it back for everybody. Zach and Mary make a porno, right? When you see Seth Rogen and you see Elizabeth Banks on the screen, you see raw and passion because they generally like each other. It's like that.
Yeah.
You also have to understand there's lighting, there's stuff that goes on in the background, there's creativity from a storyline perspective. And I think when you think of porn, it's just, oh, let's just go in there and fuck. Like, no, you can have a storyline to it and be creative with it. That's the beautiful part of the magic of it, right?
Yes. Yes, it is. And it brings people in. You know, not everybody wants to see the quick jump in it, you know, gonzo and this and that. No, you kind of want them to warm up to your scene. You know, that's what turned me on.
No, I concur with you, and I'll take everybody back here, and this is the perversion coming out, but also the sexiness side of us that we all have in our desires, as Nikki J say, in our urges. I remember when I was a kid, right, and you're staying up late, right, and you're watching Cinemax, dare I say Skinemax, if you will, and you see it like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning on like Friday, Saturdays, or Sunday. It used to be films with, I remember the porn stars vividly. It was Nicole Sheridan and her husband at the time, Willow, right? Great scene. We'll put that into the forefront, but it's just like, all right, I know what I'm getting into because it's just like, oh, hey, how you doing? What's up? Let's fuck. That's great, but there's more to it that goes into it. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, like you have me drawn in. You're both very sexual and you're both very fine as wine, if you will. But I'm like, there's more to it. I was like, how many times am I going to say this? How many times am I going to see this over again? You know?
Yes, there is so much more to it, and it's just I believe that if the more effort and the better the chemistry you have with your partner, then you're good to go. You know,
Agreed
that's
wholeheartedly.
it.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of synergy and partnership, we got to put this over because we talk about promotion, and this one's a promotion queen over here doing the damn thing. You and J Rob, let's shout him out. Collab Fanatic, man. Y'all had some great scenes, great 2 scenes, teacher-wise, mistress-wise, whatnot. Y'all saw some very hot and passionate scenes. Let's talk about these into the forefront.
Oh, sorry. Oh, those were hot. I mean, we you know, when we first met for the first scene, I admit I was a little nervous. I still get nervous. I still get like that stomach thing before I start a scene because I'm scared. Am I going to ruin it? What am I going to do? You know? And then and then when I saw him, he's very, very approachable. And we were turned on instantly. We were already going at it before the cameras were rolling. So there we go.
No, first of all, I like your style. And you can tell how passionate and nervous she gets, folks, as you heard that blaring music in the background. First of all, great tracks, by the way.
That was my bad.
You're fine. You were totally fine. No, I mean, what I like about how you stated that too is, and I mean, before you even get into this, and I always say this, I think you can agree with me, Miss Nikki J. It's about the A and C, and I'm not talking about Atlantic City. I'm talking about accommodation and comfortability, ladies and gentlemen. When you go in there in the meeting, much like Jay, and I've talked to Jay as well, great human being, very down to earth person. It's about accommodation and comfortability. If you have that, you're golden. That goes in any scene, and that certainly shows on screen and behind the scenes with what you two provided. So, I mean, I think that's another one that's very much an aesthetic of what really goes into it. Because if you're comfortable with someone, that really makes for a golden film.
Oh yeah, and it shows too. Because you know, if the person's hitting it right and everything's just right, there's going to be a big O in that. And I don't fake those. Those are the real deal.
No, not at all. I got to say, if you saw the attire that this woman was wearing, I got to say, one of the sexiest doggone teachers I've seen, the lingerie, the whatnot, you go, girl. Yes.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very, very welcome. Oh, you do. And I think what's great about it, we mentioned the voluptuosity factor earlier in this podcast, but you look at internal and external beauty that goes a lot with the beauty that makes the eye, if you know what I'm saying, that lens.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of people can visualize and really stay to and gravitate towards within your films. I mean, for God's sake, from everything that you've seen from you, Miss Nikki J, I mean, you go from like, I'll put it to the forefront. You have so many different unique preferences from like your ass, from licking ass, from doing what you have. You, I mean, I got to
Oh my
say, you have a lot of great talents with you. Let's put that to the forefront, man. Because you've done it before I see it. Yes.
I aim to please, I love to please. That's just, I don't know. It's so sensual, to put it in a blank or a plain sentence. It's sensual.
No, and I like about that too as well is because first and foremost, for as far as ass licking goes, I mean, there's something for everybody. Number one, but number two, very popular genre that I think a lot of people that don't give it too much credit for because I mean, you look at also genres like dominatrix stuff and what have you. Everybody has their kink, so to speak, and I think again the liberating factor really exploring that and making that come to life, so to speak. It's like that sweet, sweet fantasy baby, to quote Mariah Carey from '95. There's a lot that goes into it. So I mean, that type of creativity really does flow in a film, and I got to say you've really exemplified that. And I can't wait to see where you go from the future, man, because you've been killing it. Much to repeat that once more.
I know I want to do more of that. I love it. I don't know what it is. I love fetish. I like to cater a little bit to everybody. The people that like the MILFs, the fetish, just the sensual BJ type of thing. I like that too. Because who don't? I mean, come on.
No, I'm right there with you. And I mean, I think that's
Yep.
the most sensual part. And I think anything in life, I think what I always say is you have to make the most of your time. And especially with interviews like I do here, you have to make the most of your time. No matter how long it goes, you have to make the most of it. And I think with what you do within your work and the collaborations that you've had, again, the slow and sensual vibes. But I think when you look at sex, and to quote George Michael, God rest his soul, sex is natural, sex is fun, sex is best when
Yes.
it's one-on-one. You have to have that slow, take your time type of vibe. You have a little massage in there, what have you. It makes it just not only real, but authentic at the same time.
It really does. And when when somebody's in a scene and they're not getting into it, they want to rush it. And, nope, I don't like that. I
I'll,
want to
I'll
make kids happy.
I'll equate it to you like this, and I know my pop culture nerdiness is coming out in today's forum, but you look at like 2005, right? Remember the movie Hitch with Will Smith and Kevin James? For those that remember that, and he plays the love.
Yeah.
Like when you see in Hitch with Vance Munson, who was the character from Burn Notice, right? You get to see like Will Smith talking to him. It's not like him where he's just like, you know what? I'll probably feel better once I bang her. He goes, excuse me. And it's like, well, yeah, aren't you the guy who's a love doctor? He's like, my clients actually like women. So equated to that scene, it's not just about the hit it and quit it, so to speak, is what I'm saying. We take what we see from popular culture, but also transform and transmogrify it into what we get to see with porn. So, I mean, that's the right way to think of it. Just don't think of it as a hit it and quit it. Just go with the flow.
The flow. That's it. That's the key. They have to, like, your partner has to flow with you, you flow with them. And if everything's good, then that's it. You passed the test.
And I gotta say this, we gotta put over your content on ManyVids, Miss Nikki J, because for those who've not checked her out on ManyVids, I mean, very sensual films. We get to see a lovely little dress over here, little solo stuff mixed with some BJs and whatnot. I gotta say, seeing your stuff on ManyVids and OnlyFans and the community that brings, I think from those snippets and just those films in any way, it's very enticing. And I gotta say, you know how to rock the elegance and sexuality vibes, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much.
You're very welcome. But that's what goes into it. And I think from people like myself and people that can take away from today's forum is we're a lover of the arts. And I think God's greatest creation is the woman and the art form that women come in all different shapes and sizes, like we mentioned. But you have to also look at it and view it like this, not just the fact that we're normalizing this, which as it should, you have to treat everything in life as a business because your business, number one, is being just professional decorum going into the scene, but also at the same time, too, the time that you're going into is not wasted, as we see a lot with time wasters. So, I mean, the time,
Yes.
the effort is really that goes into it, right?
Yeah, that I deal with more time wasters than anybody that's really ready and willing to show up. It's really hard, and it's my personal experience. It's a lot of guys who do it. They do it. I don't know why. It's like, okay, well, I'm fantasizing about being in porn. Well, you have this date and this time. What's your problem? If you don't show up, you don't show up. It's your loss.
So I'm going to put this in. First of all, I love your bluntness in that statement because it's so true.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome, because I've had many talents who have done wrestling or who've done what have you, and including the adult entertainment industry. Time wasters is a topic that comes up because I look at it from a stance, I can equate it to you on this. If you're setting a meeting in a time and date, and I'm accommodating you, much like I mentioned earlier, accommodation, comfortability, like it's not just let's have sex. It's like, okay, here's this and that. You want to film, you want to collab. It's not just you want to fantasize on porn. There's perks that goes into it. There's cost, there's time, there's travel, and you have to meet those needs because that's the needs that goes into it.
It is, and people don't realize it is time and money, you know, wasting, and it's just okay, you know, it. I don't even words can't even say the aggravation of it, but it's going to keep happening. But at this point, I know who's willing to really show up and who ain't. More people, there's like at least 95% of them just want to talk, 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 talk. I don't have time for that.
Well, I will say that the time that you've made to talk with me today has been an absolute pleasure.
Well, well, that's definitely time well spent.
Well, I appreciate that, no. And I mean, I look at it from a, I appreciate that so much. But no, I look at it from a stance like this. I think with what you've done with people like Mr. Big Nuts, the Master Black Kink, there's so many different things I can put over from the respect that I've seen of your work. But one individual I have to mention, Allie Lust, Variety Vixens.
Yeah.
My goodness gracious, man. Love it.
Oh yeah, she's really nice. I saw her when I saw her in person. You know, I got out of the car and I saw this little short girl. I'm like, "Hey, you Allie?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You're so hot and cute and small." She's real nice, sweet, down to earth as well in person. You know, really nice to work with.
That's the thing too, and she has so many different fetishes as well, and she has captured many of your amazing images, as well as I will put out J-Rob here because your photo was featured in a magazine, which I'll put the link to as well. That's got to make you feel good, man. That one of his his polished photos and just overall amazing photography that he does, besides what we see on air with him. I think that's awesome that I got featured in a magazine. That's wonderful.
He's very talented as well, very talented, and I mean I don't know how much more I can thank him. You know. He's got a friend for life. That's it.
That's the thing too, and I think that's the best part about it. And we mentioned the good and bad and everything. I think in life, and especially with the spiritual person that I am, and I know you are, ma'am, you have to see the good that outweighs the bad. And I think when you surround yourself more with the good, that gravitational pull and energy just really leads you down a great path within your journey, because the grind never stops and the journey is worth taking.
Amen. I try to avoid any negativity. You know, I get some negativity, but you know, like well, I'll get people that get mad at me because I can't always be there to do scenes with them. Not, you know, because I am working 2 jobs, you know, I mean, but I never set a time or a date and then back out. I don't do that. But it, you know, it is what it is. I can't, you know, can't make miracles happen.
Well, I will say this, and what I love about how you put that is too. I mean, speaking of a hardworking woman like yourself, 2 jobs. I mean, you look at it from a stance too as well. You're doing this, and it just shows your ambition and your intuition, so to speak, and what you want to do and accomplish. But also at the same time too, I look at it like this, folks, and especially with anything that we do in life, you have to look at it like, okay, you're not ignoring people. It's just y'all, we're busy. We got lives, we got family, we got foundation, we got everything. And I think with you look at the adult entertainment industry, it's like y'all realize like they're normal people. We're normal people like each and every one of you from the entertainment side of things. We're all normal people at the end of the day.
Man, tell me about it. Exactly. We have bills too. You know, they think I'm sitting on the couch and playing myself all day. Oh no, I don't have that kind of time. I am very sorry.
No,
I apologize.
Yeah, like the whole world is not centered around bow chicka wow wow, for God's sake. You know what I'm saying? We have to go there.
It doesn't. I don't. Thank you. Oh, it's frustrating. I wish it was.
Hey now. I know, I feel you. For, at the end of the day, too, I think even with podcasting, like outside of this, folks, I work a normal job and I work very hard at it from Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturdays. It's like you never know, because sometimes in life, especially with work, things can get short-staffed. You may need to come in to do some extra shifts. It happens, but you have to make the most of the time, no matter what you do.
You do. Yeah, just be there 100% as much as you can, you know? I mean, there's times when I show up for work or for a scene and I'm just run down. I'm like, you know what? Give it your best. Just make it good. It's always been my plain, simple Nikki J model. Make it good.
good. And I got to say, Nikki J, you do make it good in everything that you do with your
Thank you.
overall personality and spirit. You're very welcome. I look at it from a stance too like this. I think when you look at how the adult entertainment industry is, and especially from what we see as a kid, and like we mentioned, the evolution of it, I think what's great about it too, as well is especially when you're from your teens to adulthood, and especially with what we have now in today's form with content creation, anybody can do it. You know what I'm saying? From podcasting to content creation, everybody can do it. There's so many platforms now that we didn't have back in the early 2000s, the 90s, 80s, 70s, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you also have to realize, like, you have to go for it. You know what I'm saying? Make yourself stand out from what you see, how you can be different. And I think that's the best
Yeah.
part of the creativity process, right?
Right. And I don't want to fit into a certain box either. That's the thing. I'm a real deep thinker. And I don't want somebody to change me in order to get this or get that. Forget that. I'm me. I'm not going to change. I was born with a bigger butt, or born being 5'3.5". I'm not going to change. Whether I have the money, I don't know. If I do make any bodily changes, it'd be because it make me happy. That's what matters. You know, I don't want to change. I don't want to conform, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And first and foremost, this one talking about the voluptuosity factor, the bootay. That's why we have bootylicious and, dare I say, bootyful, if you will. You know what
Oh,
you're
too.
talking about. All right, I see you. I see you. But that's the thing too. I think, and I've always said this about women, especially when you look at modeling, and like, we had your Tyra Bankses back in the day. You had your Naomi Campbells. You had so many people. But I mean, today at age, you can have like, your Ashley Grahams on the BBW plus size modeling and whatnot. And I mean, you look at it back in the day when you had a BBW voluptuosity factor, if you were a woman on the cover of like a Cosmo, and everybody's like, oh my God. I'm like, you do realize like their models come in many different forms. And
They do.
the reason why I bring it up too is like you look at Nia Jax, who is The Rock's cousin, who's in WWE right now. She was a plus size model, very beautiful lady, but you have to look at it from an aesthetic too. Of they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but maybe this person's beauty views different than your person's beauty. But at the same time, don't be drinking that haterade, so to speak, if I could put in the bluntest
Yeah.
terms, about what their people. Don't stop their shine, for God's sake, people. Come on now.
I know, right? If it's not your thing, move along. Just move along. Maybe you have an aunt that looks like that, or a sister, or I mean, yeah. If somebody don't like it, just move along.
And I got to say, with moving along here, with any scene that you've done, and we'll put you over here much more, Miss Nikki J, in the short time period, and I got to say this, from when you started to where you are now, I mean, again, short period of time, you make the most of your time. I think with anything in life, besides, like I mentioned, the journeys we're taking, we all have that adaptation and our ability to just continue to grind and learn. And I think you've been really adapting it and putting it, soaking up that knowledge like a sponge. Because you gotta admit, like you've possibly learned more in this short time than you could have ever, just with everything that goes into it, right? The knowledge of like a sponge, so to speak, and how you absorb it.
Yes, that is true. I've learned a lot, and most important of all, I learned more about myself. You know, deeply, but sexually, mentally, you know, it, I just I have learned a lot more about the angles, the lighting, what works for different body types too. That's key. Angles are a big deal, because you do a certain angle on me, I that's just like no, no, no. Or you do a certain angle here. Yes, everybody has that. I've learned that everybody has different angles or different lights, different ways of acts in on camera that works for them. So I'm learning the technical part, the other part, the mental parts of it. So yeah, you're right about that. I keep learning, never stop.
And I will say this about you. Can we also put over the fact here, folks, is so growing up on Long Island, New York, I also do now currently live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I grew up with a lot of people from the Carolinas. And we just put over the Southern belle and the Southern charm of this accent. My goodness, we got to put that to the forefront, man. I hear you. I see it and I dig it. I got to say, I love the Southern charm over here.
Well, thank you. I had to grow up with it.
I had to put that into the forefront because I love a good accent. You have a lovely accent. I wanted to put
Well,
that into
thank
the
you.
forefront. You're so
Thank you.
welcome. No, but that's the truth. I think that's also what goes into it. Elegance, charm, and dare I say, overall, just decorum, man. That goes a long way in life.
I try to portray my natural self, the innocence, the girl next door, you know. It's there.
That's what I'm saying. So pretty much what you're saying in the bluntest, and I mean this in the most sincerity and respectful terms. It's like I'm innocent, I'm hot, and I'm lovely, but at the end of the day, I can also take it to Pound Town. I see what it is. But when you get on the camera, it's overall buck wildness, and I appreciate you for it.
Yeah, I love it. Sometimes I love it too, Ralph. Get me thinking.
Well, Miss Nikki J, I gotta say, I do like your style and I do like what you're about. And I'm gonna say this right now. I would love, and the overture is here. I'd love to have you back on for a round 2 once you get more collabs going and everything. I'd be delighted to have you back.
Awesome. I'd love to be back.
And I got to say this from someone with such knowledge, like we mentioned, the adaptation for such a short time. You mentioned great scenes, great photos, and the links to all these amazing people, including Nikki J's social medias, will be in the description below this interview, folks. But with the knowledge that you have, I always love to ask this question. What advice would you give to young content creators coming into this, the adult entertainment industry, the entertainment side of things? What advice would you give them that you've learned thus far?
Just be serious. If it's something you really, really want to do, give it some thought, because your content will be out there for good. You know, if you're young, think about what you really want to do career-wise. And if this is something you very, very much want, just treat it like a real business, you know, treat everybody right. Just times, just put in more. You're going to put in more work than you think you will. And there's going to be frustrations too, like any other job. That's it. If you want it, go for it. But take caution, though. There's going to be some repercussions. Just think it over.
I like your style, best representation of your presentation, so to speak. And I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with everything that you just said. I got to say, folks, heed and adhere to the words presented by Miss Nikki J over here. And before we close this out, you're on social media, man. Where can we follow you on the social media front? The floor is yours, Miss Nikki J.
Oh, I'm mostly just a big Twitter fan. That's where I am. Of course, I'm on the many vids. The links are going to be on, you know, my page, of course. But I need to expand. I just haven't had the time. But Twitter's my all-time favorite.
So check out at Nikki. I believe it's at Nikki J on Twitter. Nikki J on Twitter.
At Nikki J 127.
127. Okay, so adding those numbers in there, Nikki J 127, and we just gave you the 411 on everything that Nikki J has been doing. So definitely check her out. And folks, if you want to subscribe to this YouTube channel, check out Mike Larkin 92. We just hit 1K in the short period of time. I appreciate the support. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I love what I do. And check out SM Show 1 and MCL 92 on Twitter, Larkin_92 and MLarkinMB on the Instagram. My links will be in the description. So was Nikki J's. Definitely go out of your way and follow her, because she's a great follow, and she does show that deal deal sex appeal, so to speak. So before we close this out, Nikki J, do you have any final words to your fans and your supporters thus far in your journey? Any final words to the people?
I do. I really love you guys so much, and I wish that I had more time to talk with every one of you individually. Thank you guys for your support. No matter what mood I'm in, what content I'm making, thank you. Just that's it. Just a big thank you. I really do appreciate you all. Thank you. Y'all keep me going. Be safe, y'all.
Going on and on to the break of dawn. And as I say, folks, to close this out, life is an art form. We're all applying our crafts. Continue to apply your craft in amazing fashion, including Miss Nikki J over here. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, beauty, strength, and dominance, the 3 key elements that make women the work of art that they are. And Nikki J, I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Come talk to me. I love the way you're on to me. Looking at you, looking like you're wondering if we're here for the same reason. And I bet you wanna lay in the sun, getting love drunk, sticking like honey. Yeah, I bet you're here for some fun with that someone, feeling that something. If you're looking for a good time, honey, I'm right here. If you're looking for a good night, good vibes, honey, I'm right here. And I'm waiting for you. And I love you in your summer skin. Looking at you, looking If you're looking for a good time,